Hi everyone, this is Caly with craftincaly.wordpress.com. I've got a really quick card here. Just wanted to show you how I made my holiday cards. I try to get them out before Thanksgiving, so all of mine are already in the mail and on their way to loved ones and friends. This is actually inspired by a card that Jennifer McGuire made last year, so I just wanted to go over the process with you if you haven't seen her make hers. I'm using a sentiment here from Mama Elephant called Jingle Greetings, and I love the warm wishes there, and I love all the fonts on this particular stamp set. So I've pre-cut my vellum and my back cardstock or base to A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I've centered my Mama Elephant sentiment towards the bottom center there on my MISTI, and it's going to be a production style, so I actually made 75 of these. So I've used Versamark ink, and now I'm using Wow Glitter Gold Embossing Powder. All of my supplies and everything will be listed below, as well as on my blog. So I do about 8 to 10 of these, sometimes more, sometimes less. It just depends on how much time I have before I need to put everything down and walk away. So here I'm just showing you 2 or 3 that I make. So you just need to emboss it. It doesn't ruin it for it to sit there for a bit. So I just make sure that they are not touching when they're sitting there waiting. So I heat emboss all of them at once, and then I'll put the 7 to 10 or whatever aside, and then I'll do some more. And so you repeat this process until you're done with all of the cards that you intend on making. And then I will show you what I will do as far as the next step goes. So I just set it aside and I just keep working. So you don't have to do all of this in one day. I usually work on it 20 minutes a time every night, and then I'm done. So here is a stamp set by Hero Arts, and I'm using this string lights here, and I do center it in the middle, and I'm leaving myself a 1/4 of an inch at the top because I know that towards the end I want to sew my card together using my sewing machine. So this time, instead of using Versamark ink, I'm using VersaFine Black Onyx ink because I'm going to emboss with clear. And I know I've said this before, but I like to do it this way when I'm embossing images that I want to be in black because I don't like to use black embossing powder. I'm putting the MISTI there, centering it, and then placing it at the 1 inch mark for each of the vellum pieces. That way there's plenty of space for the stamp, and I can center it just right. So like with the gold sentiment, I'm doing the same thing here. I'm just gonna do 7 to 10 or whatever it is that I can set aside without them touching or anyone getting into it. My kids are all over the place. So I'll do all of them, and then what I do next is I take my Versamarker pen. It's Versamark ink in a pen form. So I'm coloring every other bulb so that I can emboss this in red. I had a hard time deciding whether or not I wanted to emboss all of the bulbs or stickle all of the bulbs. And then I decided, okay, I'm just going to do every other because I was getting different opinions from friends and my husband. So I'm compromising here. It is a lot more work to do both, but I think the results are really nice. So I'll show you here that I am embossing it, and then I'll let it dry. And once I am finished with all of that, I will add the stickles. Now the stickles, the disadvantage to using stickles is you have to let it dry. So I did all of mine one night in one sitting, and then I set them all overnight to dry. And so I'll show you a photo here of how I laid them all out so that they wouldn't be touching, and they could dry overnight and nothing would happen to them the next day. So I've pre-printed a special message or a personal message on these back panels, the red cardstock that I've cut to A2 size. Now I'm going to sew it with my sewing machine, which is some simple white thread. Now this is my first card that I made, and I was trying to play with the idea of putting the lights off to one side, but then decided that I wanted them to be centered. So on this card it is a little bit different. And I also left that 1/4 inch at the top so that the thread wouldn't run across any of the light strings. So I'm just going to trim that thread, and as you can see, I also used a paper clip to hold my papers together so that they wouldn't move during the sewing process. Well, that wraps up this video, and I hope you've enjoyed this card. I hope that everyone has a safe holiday. I have 2 cards here that I'd like to share if you haven't seen them already. On the left is a personal double slider card that reveals a message that's personal for me, and on the right is a snowflake card that I made for a challenge on livelovecards.com. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone!